Hi, this is Ross, and this is DIY on the house. Today we're going to do something a little different, and I'm going to show you how to replace a water pump on an RV. So these typically, if you don't winterize them, these are really long-lasting pumps. But if you don't winterize them like I did last year, the plastic parts in here will actually break from the freeze. Once the water gets in there, expands, freeze, breaks. So I'm going to show you how to install this and replace the other one. And then also stay tuned on the video. We'll do the pump first. I'm going to show you a modification that we're going to do to add to your existing RV water system. This is a thermal expansion tank. It typically goes, actually it always goes on top of a water heater. What we're going to do with this tank is we're going to modify our existing system. On a typical well system that we live on, you have a pressure tank system. And what that does is when the well pump kicks on, water goes into the pressure tank. That pressure tank stores the water in it. It has a rubber bladder in it, just like this does. This is just a miniature version. And so when you use the water, you're going to use the water inside this tank first, and then the pump will kick back on. And what that does, it puts less stress on the pump. It's not constantly kicking on and off. And so you have that volume of water sitting there ready to use. And so you won't have a big decrease in water pressure. So we'll do that. So make sure you do hold on to the end of the video and watch through this, because this is an awesome way to help save things. So what we're going to do is I've got a SureFlow water pump for an RV, and that's exactly what is on our RV. These are the the most popular pumps. Got this off Amazon, so we'll put that link down below. But the things you're going to need to do is, and we'll do a little modification on this as well. So you're going to need some tape to mark the hot and the negative lines on your electrical system. If you hook those up backwards, the pump will actually run backwards. And instead of the suction trying to pull water, it'll try to push water. And also a biggie on these pumps, it's just here and right here, up front. Can't hardly see them at all. There's a directional flow. So the direction of the water will be coming in this way and out that way. So if you hook it up backwards, obviously that's just as bad as wiring it incorrectly. So you're doing the same thing. So we'll go ahead and mark these. So the tools we're going to need are just a couple channel locks, some screws, because typically in an RV, the screw head, it's a square head. And I don't know why they do that, but it's a real pain. If you're out in the middle of somewhere and you need to get a replacement pump, it's actually not fun trying to get those old screws out because they are a different head. So I'm just going to put standard Phillips heads in, some washers, got my tape, and then the other thing we're going to do is that the line coming in from the holding tank on the water, for the water, is kind of a solid connection that goes onto this pump. We're going to put a flex line on it, so we have a 1/2 FIP adapter by 3/8 compression adapter. And you can just pick this up at any hardware store. Then we'll have a standard flex line that goes under a lavatory sink or a kitchen sink. It's 1/2 inch thread by 3/8 compression. So that 3/8 compression will actually screw on this side. This is going to screw on the, oh goodness, seriously, it is that hard to see. This will screw onto the suction side, and then I'm going to screw this on to the adapter that comes from the holding tank. And you'll see how easy it is and why I'm going to be doing this, because I want to move this around. These things are usually in a really bad spot. So let's go ahead and get it done and we'll get it installed. Okay, we are in the little area where my water pump is. This is actually a nice little area that they gave it in this camper. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark the line. And this doesn't matter. You can mark either the black or the red. So I've got my splice point is here. It's a white purple. It just happens to be on this camper. And then a blue line. And I'm going to make that for my red line. So, and then the other one I don't have to mark because I know that's going to, there's only 2 lines. So it's either going to be hot or a negative. So we're going to do that. And next what we're going to do, this is the pump line that, if I can get that. out of the way. This line right here comes from the holding tank. And so I'm going to unscrew that off the existing pump, since this pump is bad. I'm just using my little pair of channel locks. And those really come off actually really easy. Once I get this stuff out of the way, you'll be able to see everything really clear. And then on the discharge side, the outlet side on the pump, I'm going to disconnect that. Now I do have a just a standard flex line on that already from. There's low pressure. Yep. So, and that's a 1/2 by 1/2. And what that does, that I'll show you here. That connects up to this T. This line right here is the water line you'd hook a hose up if you're in an RV camp. This comes from the pump that we're going to be using. And then this is the discharge line that goes to my filter system. Okay, so next up, the water lines are disconnected. I'm going to take off the wire nuts, and those just screw off. These are actually what came with the camper. So I'll pull that. I'm going to do the black one here. So that's the only 2 wire connections. So now we have, this is the line that actually comes from the camper itself. So those are disconnected. So I have a white, purple, and then a white. The white is the ground, that'll go to the black, and the purple will go to the red. So we're going to do that. And I've already changed these long time ago to just standard Phillips heads. So I'm going to get my driver in here. Yeah, okay. And this is the old pump. I'm going to get that out of here. Okay. Now, make sure your pump is off. The pump switch, that would be bad because this would actually have power to it. It's not going to hurt anything, but that means the pump was probably under pressure, and when you put the new pump on, it'll want to kick straight on. You don't want that. I'm going to bring in the new pump. Okay. So the new pump, I already connected that flex line on, and with that adapter onto that, and this is actually going to connect onto the water supply coming from the hold or storage tank. So I say storage tank or holding tank, same place. So I've got that connector right here coming from that, and this new brass one. What this is going to do is give me all kinds of flexibility, so I don't have to fight it in some odd space when things aren't going properly while we're camping or something. I need to work on it. So I'm going to tighten that up, and I'm just going to tighten it up to where I feel some decent resistance. And the reason is there isn't any pressure on this line. So you don't have to crank it really tight. If you do, you may end up snapping this fitting, and then you're going to have a real big problem because you have to replace all this. So this suction part of the incoming line, no pressure, just get it tight to where it's decent. Okay, so this is the line coming to, actually this is the line that's going to be feeding my camper. I'm going to put that in on this side here. I'm going to screw that on because it's a 1/2 inch fitting. Now this I do want to get a little tension on, because this will actually be at 45 psi. The pump is designed to pump up to 45 psi and then kick off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to, a little bit of water left. I've got my red and my black, and so I've got those marked. I want my pump sitting here. This is a better place. It's more accessible. My screws, these I'm just using regular drywall screws that are coated. And I got a little washer so that doesn't go all the way through when I screw that in. I'm not going to get crazy with this because on the bottom of this it has rubber legs, and that's for, so it kind of a damper. So when this kicks on, it's not such a, a growling noise. It dampens that out. We don't want it to be all noisy, so when somebody goes up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, you don't have to listen to the pump. Okay. that is that. So we've got that. Man, everything's nice and tight and it's square, not all at an angle and looking kind of goofy. That is the one thing about deck stuff, is things are never straight and nice. So, okay, I got my red wire, and there was an inline fuse in this, in the existing pump. There is actually another fuse back at the breaker panel, so I'm not overly worried about this. So I'm going to take my wire nut that it was already here. I'm going to screw that bad boy on. Screw the other one on because I got everything marked and everything should be going the right way. Okay, Kara's going to turn the pump on and we're going to let her charge up. So that's pumping up. It is a little noisy, but they are that way. Okay, so that just pumped up to 45 psi, and so the pump is replaced and everything is ready to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you the modification of putting in the pressure tank for the system. That'll help this thing not kick on and off all the time every time you're using water. So we'll get ready to do that. Right now I just have the pump hooked up without the little pressure tank we're going to be putting on for the modification. So you can see the water flow. It kind of drops off a little bit and then it pumps back up, and that's just the pressure from the pump only. So I'll show you that again. You can actually see where it kind of just fades off and then it comes back once the pump kicks back on. So we're going to put that tank on there and show you the improvement. Okay, so what we're going to be connecting onto, we just connected the pump, which is right here. So that line feeds up to this T. Of course, that one was one from the water, or you know, when you're at a park or you have a water supply from a hose. That goes up, it goes to my carbon filter. I use that so I don't have to worry about taste so much, you know, on the chlorine and whatnot from a park. And then what I'm going to do, this is the outlet line that feeds into the camper. I'm going to tee off here and I'm going to bring that, tie that into that pressure tank, or expansion tank, but from now on I'll just call it expansion tank. We're going to go into that, and that's going to end up getting mounted down here, and then I'll show you all the pieces we need. Okay, this is the thermal expansion tank that we're going to use. So we're actually going to use this as a pressure tank instead. Same diff. What we're going to do first is, because the pump is has a cutoff point at 45 psi. So once it pumps up, pressure in the camper at 45 psi, it shuts off. And then until you trigger a faucet or whatever, a toilet or whatever, it'll kick back on at 28 psi. And the reason I know it kicks on at 28 psi is I had to make this menagerie of stuff to try to figure out when the cut-in pressure was on the pump. So this pressure tank. This pressure tank is set at 45 psi from the factory. What we want to do is get this 2 pounds lower than the cut-in pressure. So if the cut-in pressure is at 28 on the pump, we're going to want to make this 26. And 25 is going to be close enough. If I get it 25, that's good enough. So I'm going to go ahead and set this on the top of the tank. There's either going to be a blue cap like this or some type of a cap on the top of the pressure tank. So you're going to take that off. You're just going to take a standard pressure gauge. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and measure the pressure. I got to use my glasses. And it is actually at 45 psi. We're going to go ahead, knock this down. Awesome. With this gauge, I was able to get it rated 26. All right, so we're going to put that cap back on. Okay, so now kind of the complicated part. The thread that comes on these is 3/4 thread. The piping used in the campers is 1/2 inch. So you can use, this is a shark bite. It's actually 3/4, so it's too big, but it's just for example. These come in 1/2 inch. You could tee off of the existing 1/2 inch line in the camper with one of these. But being a plumber, I'm not going to use shark bite because these are actually kind of expensive, and I've got all the PEX tools to adapt over. So the other thing we're going to need is a water heater supply. This is 3/4 inch already, and then it's got 3/4 inch on this side. So what I'll do is I can adapt this over to 1/2 inch PEX by using the plumbing supplies that I have. So we're going to go ahead and screw that on. and we want to get this stuff, tight. Take your channel locks. So, and it's actually going to sit kind of like this anyway. And I'm going to take my male adapter. This goes male thread to 3/4 picks. Go there. And I know you're not going to have these tools, but you're going to have to adapt in the same way. You're going to have to go from 3/4 to half, and that's all you're after. So we get that. I've got a little 3/4 by half adapter for pecs. Take that. Pop that on there. I'm going to crimp that. Alright, so now I'm totally adapted over. So we're going to go ahead and move out to the camper, and I'll show you how to connect this on. So this is the space that I'm going to put the tank in, and this is the connection area we're going to connect the tank onto, or the lines onto. So I'm going to slip the tank in here. This is what we already have made up, that we just made up in the garage. And you can see that's going to be pointed up right at, I'm going to try to get a little slack in it. In the wrong way. I'll point that right up where it needs to go. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a T in this PEX line right here. I'm going to cut this in, and then I'm going to join these two together. So expect a little bit of water to come out, and I'm going to cut that. Or no water, which is even better. And crimp ring on there. And this can also, like I said, this can be done with shark bite. It'll work just as fine. But like I said, they're a little expensive, so, and I got this cheaper stuff on me. So I'm going to measure that. That's all good to go. Okay, then we're going to slip this on and adapt. So, I'm doing this all one-handed so we can get the shot. I need this to come up. Okay, so everything is secure, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a test on it. This is where I like the tank. I'm going to have the tank set. I'm going to go ahead and strap, once I get everything done, I'm going to strap this tank down, and then it'll be secure. I got this plastic strapping I use for plumbing, and I'm just going to attach that to the floor since it does have a wood floor. Okay, so I've got the tank strapped down, and it's actually really tight. And I just want this, I don't want this thing moving around while we're going down the road. So everything's secure, and we'll go ahead and turn the system back on. And I think we should be able to hear everything from inside, and you'll see the difference in the faucet. This is the water pressure we have right now. It's just kick the pump off. Shut this back down. I'm going to turn the pump on. It's going to pump up for quite a while. So right now, water is being pushed into that the storage tank or the pressure tank. Once the diaphragm inside that, they're turned off, tank gets to a certain point where the water and the air pressure balance out at 45 psi, the pump's going to kick off, and so I'll turn that on. The pump isn't pumping. Right now it's using water out of that storage tank till it hits 28 psi. Then the pump will finally kick it back on again. So we have volume of water without actually the pump kicking on and off. This is the same way a well system works. And then it kicks back on. So what that does is eliminates any pump usage on and off, because it's a demand pump, but this actually helps save it. It also gives you a volume of water to work with before the pump kicks back on again. And in the middle of the night when somebody gets up to get potty, you don't have to hear the pump kicking on and off. You'll have that storage tank to take care of any flushing or whatever going on, washing of hands. So that is it, and that's how you install that. So that's the modification we did, and I hope that helps you out. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and that you can actually do this. It's super simple. we'll put the link for Amazon for the pump and for the pressure tank as well. So if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. We sure appreciate any comments. And if you'd like to subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and we appreciate you watching the video. Thanks for watching DIY on the house.